The Maine People Podcast, available everywhere. Click subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'm sure you've had his beer. It's the best ever. Founder and CEO of Shipyard Brewing, Fred Forsley. Fred, first of all, let's take a look at where it all started. For you as an entrepreneur, you started here. This logo,
Yeah.
I used to work with that guy. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah, Mike. His daughter's working with us now.
Oh, no kidding.
Rebecca,
Mike was an amazing
Rebecca,
guy.
Yeah.
So it all started, right? Shipyard Export, 1992. Mainers also know that they can get the best Shipyard Pumpkinhead if they get it right from the brewery, right there, direct from the source. That's my trick that I don't like to share with everybody,
Right.
but I know you can get it right there.
Right.
You've always been an entrepreneur in Maine, but what came before this? What led you to this?
Oh, my mom and dad ran a home for veterans in Gray, Maine, and everybody had to work in the business. And it wasn't that it was a business, but it was a business. So you learned, what it meant to run a business because you had to, whether it was the 11 to 7 shift or pick up food. So I've always been a little bit of a self-employed family, and I got my real estate license when I was 19 and started doing real estate. And I actually worked under Mark Stimson, and then I went to work with Liberty Group in the early days. And
Because those are legendary names here.
yeah, Mark Stimson and Dick Schweppe and Mike Liberty and a variety of other people taught me real estate in the early days. And then it was a failed real estate deal that got me into the beer business.
All right, I'll ask about that story.
Yeah. So
if you want to tell it.
Yeah, a good friend of mine, and I'd done some work with, I actually bought a building from Gordon Hirschby's, and he had invested in a deal in Kennebunkport, and the deal got in financial trouble, and a bank that will go unnamed kind of foreclosed on the partners, and Gordon was supposed to be a limited partner. The paperwork got messed up. Next thing you know, they were chasing him. I went and worked it out, and next thing you know, Gordon, I ended up with a building that was half vacant in Kennebunkport Harbor. And I was in Pensacola, Florida with my brother, Richard Forsley and Gordon. And we went to McGuire's Irish Pub and Brewery. I said, Jesus, this would work in Kennebunkport. And this was in 1991. And then I met Ed and Richard at Gritty's. And they introduced me to Alan Pugsley. They originally were going to rent the space down there in Kennebunk and decided not to, and then long story short, I ended up doing it. So first export was June 15th, 1992.
Do you still celebrate that anniversary?
I do. Yeah, I do. It'll be 30 years this year. It'll be 30 years. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. You've expanded the business in so many ways. You've got Sea Dog and Shipyard brew houses all over the place, from South Portland up to Sunday River, all the way down to Treasure Island, Florida, where you are now. Like, do you just build them in places you like to hang out? Is that the deal?
Well, definitely the Florida happened because of wanting to hang out here. Some of these things, I'd like to say everything was well thought out, planned out, but honestly, most of it wasn't. I got lucky enough to meet. I met Peter Camplin, and he had sold Sea Dog, and he called me when that went into bankruptcy, and I got lucky enough to buy it out of bankruptcy from Peter in 2000, and then basically people would call and offer locations, and that's how a lot of the locations happened. Some of my landlords are friends, like Matt Orn up in Camden, and Jim Kaplan up in North Conway, and they're people that really put together plans and opportunities, and we took advantage of some of them. Some of them were good moves, and some of them were not so good. I mean, I lost a small fortune in Orlando, well, actually, kind of big fortune, but I was really fortunate in other locations. Really fortunate in Topsom, and we've got a lot of good people working for us and with us over the years, and fortunate to have Alan Pugsley as a partner, and guys like Jim Bunting that run as a Mainer. Well, he's a Vermont guy that became a Mainer, sort of, because you can't, right, unless you're born in Maine. So, and we got a good team.
Who decided to take the grilled crab and Havarti off the menu at the Sea Dog in South Portland?
You can blame that on Jim Bunting. I'll just throw it
All
right
right.
there.
So, Fred, who was the one? Was it? Go ahead.
What's that? No, I would. A lot of times things will get taken off the menu, and I always blame Jim. It's not my decision by any means.
So back at the beginning, was it your folks? Was it your parents who said, "Yeah, you can do this. You can do whatever you want"? Who was like? Was it a Mainer who said, "Never give up"?
Yeah, I definitely think my mother was persevered. She was my dad too, but he was a World War II prisoner of war, South Pacific. But you think back, and she definitely had that never give up, quit, never. She had MS and never admitted she had it really to anybody. She would never talk about it, and she lived to be 86 and broke her hip 3 times. And
wow,
tough lady.
That's a never give up tough lady, right?
So when I start complaining about stuff, I think about her.
Right, that stops you in your tracks, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of kids today complain about this or that, and especially in the beer business. Alan Pugsley, I was lucky enough to meet him, but we didn't have all the different talk groups and consulting groups and support groups that we really developed some good friendships through David Gary and some of the other guys in the early days that kind of helped each other. Even Sebago and Allagash, and guys would share things. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen now, but it definitely is evolved.
I mean, in the years since you first started, what was it, 92? You're now the 16th largest craft brewer in the United States. Did you think that the whole thing in Maine would take off the way it's really boomed and still booming?
No, at times we thought, we were going to get put out of business by the big guys. And at other times we thought, there were 3 or 4 major dips over the 30-year period. And to be honest, it's as a mid-sized brewery, most breweries my size have been bought by the big guys. So we've actually evolved as a company, and we want to collaborate with some of the younger guys, and we are around the country. And I've got some unique things going on in Florida with guys. I'm 61, and I never want to retire, but you got to get people that are willing to put in the extra hours. Not that I don't want to, but it's a bit of a young man's sport.
Well, you also like playing golf, and we'll talk a little bit about that in our next segment. How's that?
Great. Well, Bruce is the real golfer. Bruce Forsley, my cousin, is I get confused about him a little while, but he's the guy that I'm good for scrambles because I got a 30 handicap and I can show up once in a while. So,
all right, I have a photo that proves otherwise, and we'll look at it coming up.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
The way my dad brought me up was always to work hard and to treat people well.
You ready to go for a ride?
We try to keep our goal to make people feel comfortable buying their cars and feel comfortable with the people they're working with.
Nice. Oh, it looks good over here.
So become part of our family. We really mean that. Without question, we're in this together.
We're going to take care of you and treat you like your family anyways.
This looks awesome.
Yankee Ford has so many people willing to help and make this tough time a little bit easier.
Radio207.com only plays original country music from Maine singers, songwriters, and bands. Streaming online and on your smart speaker. Radio207.com is on the air now. Radio207.com. Only Maine, only country music. Your next online event can be perfect thanks to virtualproductionsgroup.com. The Maine People podcast couldn't happen without them, and they can make your remote streaming event absolutely technically perfect. High quality live and pre-recorded productions for corporate events, weddings, tournaments, charities, and more with virtualproductionsgroup.com. Fred Forsley on the Maine People podcast. Let's look at you playing golf. This is who has better golf courses, Maine or Florida? There you are, right in the middle.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a fun one. That was the PGA event that we were at, and the Harrises and Brian Cochran and Shamrock Marketing and that group. And I'm excited about this year too. So yeah, we're having a lot of fun with that birdie time.
Was that your idea because you're a golfer, or your cousin's idea?
I'll take Bruce and Brian Cochran. Brian owns Shamrock Marketing and brought the PGA to Portland, has done a phenomenal job, to Maine, Falmouth Country Club, and has done an amazing job bringing exciting things to Maine. We did the bowling adventure there. We had the bowling. Brian with Shamrock Marketing brought that to Maine as well. And so, anyways, it's fun to work with Brian and the PGA event, and he and Bruce, I think, probably over a few beers, came up with that.
Right. That's a good idea. Yeah. I want to talk about something serious, so we're going to have to fix your floating head. There we go. Because speaking of golf, if you don't mind, I want to ask you about your sister. I know you lost your sister Candace to breast cancer, and you had the what'd you call it? Tata tourney.
That's it. Right. Yeah. And at Spring Meadows every year, the first weekend of August every year.
So will it be back again this year?
Yeah. Peggy and Brad Pollard, dear friends, put it on. It's great. Yeah, it's pretty much every year it's been almost sold out, but there's still foursomes. So call Spring Meadows and sign up. And we've raised it. Basically, all the proceeds just go to people in the Greater Gloucester area, sometimes a little bit further, that are fighting cancer. And a lot of times it's breast cancer, but we have supported other people. And basically, it's not for research; it's mainly for just giving people, we bought cars for people, we've given them dinners, we've done trips for people, kind of like, and it's been really rewarding to be able to do that. And
that's pretty admirable. I love that idea. I was looking through some of my social media posts about your beer and your businesses, and I was alarmed at how many times I have posted photos of your beer on the internet. That's nice. My front porch. That's my front porch in the summer. There's me in my backyard in the summer. And apparently we spend a lot of time at your restaurants too.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it.
Oh, there's another one of me in my backyard. So there we are again.
Yeah. That sign was the original sign that Ken Hendrickson, the artist and friend, has been with us for 30 years, did. That was where the original label came from, that too. So you must have been upstairs in the pool room on that shot.
Yeah, we were definitely.
Yeah.
I think, Fred, most people look at Shipyard as a major success story at this point. Started as a small business. Was that obviously a daunting task, but was it, how helpful is the state of Maine for small businesses starting? I'm sure it's changed over the years, but back in the day, did you kind of feel out on your own?
I think the biggest asset Maine has is its people. The work ethic of. I think back about all the people that worked with us, and the state of Maine, the city of Portland gave us a TIF. That was a big benefit in the early days, and basically what it is that they raise taxes and gets reinvested in the property. And I would dare say it's probably one of the most successful TIFs in the state of Maine, because if anybody remembers the Village Cafe and that neighborhood in 89, 90, 91, and then we bought the property in 93, and the taxes on the property were $12,000. And now if you go down there, the taxes are well into the millions when you look at the hotel and the Covetrus and they're just, the number of people that put a lot of sweat into the brewery there, and it'll be, the hotel will be opening up, and we don't own the hotel, but we developed the property, and it's been a great thing to have Covetrus, which is one of the leading public companies in the state of Maine, started by the Shaw family. And then the development was done with the Bateman Partners and the Mar Group to develop the property and assist me in that. And really, they took a lead on it, to be honest. And today, there'll be more people working in that block than ever before in the history. So come, next year when people go back to work, when you look at Wex and you look at Covetrus and you look at the hotels and you look at all that, and also what's happening in the Rue Institute, Portlanders will benefit from that for many, many years. And there were a lot of people that had the foresight to say, yeah, let's do this. I mean, at the time, Charlie Harlow, Peter O'Donnell were guys that I knew. They trusted me and supported me, and they were on the council. And it's kind of, when you look at it, it's mind-blowing, really. So it's just like, how did that happen?
Coming up in the next segment, I want to talk about your connection and Shipyard's connection to this really old guy, Maine's most famous poet, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. There's a pretty surprising connection that I bet most people don't know, and we'll do that in the next segment. All right?
The way my dad brought me up was always to work hard and to treat people well.
You ready to go for a ride?
We try to keep our goal to make people feel comfortable buying their cars and feel comfortable with the people they're working with.
Nice. Oh, it looks good over here.
So become part of our family. We really mean that. Without question, we're in this together.
We're going to take care of you and treat you like your family anyways.
This looks awesome.
Yankee Ford has so many people willing to help and make this tough time a little bit easier.
Radio207.com only plays original country music from Maine singers, songwriters, and bands. Streaming online and on your smart speaker. Radio207.com is on the air now. Radio207.com. Only Maine, only country music. Your next online event can be perfect thanks to virtualproductionsgroup.com. The Maine People podcast couldn't happen without them, and they can make your remote streaming event absolutely technically perfect. High quality live and pre-recorded productions for corporate events, weddings, tournaments, charities, and more with virtualproductionsgroup.com. Fred Forsley on the Maine People podcast. You've been, as we were talking about in the last segment, you've been a big participant, instrumental in changing the look and the feel of a big section of Portland. The brewery and the tasting room. There was a lot of unhealthy badness and pollution there decades ago. Shipyard moved in. You put together a plan for cleaning it all up. And I know you threw out a lot of names in the last segment of people who were active participants, but like you were the driving force behind all of it. Can we talk about how Longfellow played into the whole thing?
So his home, well, it wasn't his home. I think it was
birthplace.
A relative's home, right? It was his aunt's, and his mother was basically staying there, and that was where he was born, in that house on that site. And when they ripped down the house, they put a rock from his uncle's farm there, and they put a plaque commemorating birthplace of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. So the unique thing was he was born the same year that the Federal Jack was built. The Federal Jack was a ship that was built in Kennebunk Port Harbor. And so it's kind of a unique thing along those lines. And he had obviously a great love for Portland and a great love for the sea. And so often we've used poems and different inspirations from Henry and toasted him at times when we did the beer in honor of him and other things like that. Yeah. So it's kind of special. The history of Portland, even though it's really, I think, special because, when you think about, I was partners with Alan Pugsley, and 200 years earlier we were at war, with the English,
Right.
and Alan's, and that's kind of interesting to see. And it's the heritage of the cemetery up above us there, and the Abyssinian
Hmm.
Church. Those are things that we've supported, and the observatory, and all these things people love to see and learn about, and when they come and visit Portland. But you kind of feel it in the soul of the city.
I got a quick story about the cemetery that I'll tell you, because we were doing a pub crawl with some friends summer before last, and I've never been able to walk through that cemetery. It's always locked up. But at the moment we were walking by, the gates were open, and I said, "Look, guys, I know this is not what we came out here to do, but we're going to go see some names." And I've always, for 20 years, I wanted to go into this cemetery, and we're doing it now. And we
Yeah,
did. And my friends still give me a hard time about our pub crawl cemetery tour, but
that's
it was,
funny.
it was memorable for sure. And also, I'm worried about you right now, Fred, because you said two things in the same year, when Longfellow was born and the Federal Jack's ship was built. If that's your ATM pin, you need to change it.
Yeah, I don't even have an ATM pen, to be honest with you. I can never, but yeah, I always forget those darn things and codes and all that stuff.
So I've read recently about you looking forward to some and pushing some more waterfront changes in Portland. What else do you want to see happen down there? You've made some big
I
changes
think
already.
Yeah, no, I would love to see the ability to do mixed use on the waterfront. I know a lot of people don't like that idea, but when you go to Newport, Rhode Island, and you go to Annapolis, and you go to some of these other seaport cities, it's kind of a shame. You need those funds of a mixed use development to support improving the docks and all of that. So, it's kind of exciting. And when people visit from, like, we're doing a lot of business in the UK, oddly enough, our growth is stronger in the UK than some parts than in America, which is unique. And it's exciting because of Alan's relationships and
Yeah.
whatnot. We've grown relationships, and people visit Portland not as much in the last 2 years, but before that, we've had groups come over, and seriously, one of the comments I just is like, that the waterfront really should be improved as far as like, how can we see this dock or that dock? But so luckily I know some of the places they can sneak down on the waterfront, but it should be more accessible and accessible. And the city owns a lot of waterfront as well, and I'd love to see the city and maximize what they have. And
Mhm.
I think the city of Portland hopefully will in the future.
After all these years in business, Shipyard still primarily, is it still 100% family owned?
Yes. Yep. Bruce and
How do
I.
you manage to stay like that? I'm sure you have plenty of big businesses, as you've referenced before, knocking on the door with buyout offers. But here you are, still a family-owned business.
No, I've been very fortunate. We started, we had 9 credit cards going. We basically had a lot of good fortune along the way. I did partner with Miller Brewing for 3 years, and that was a real education. I got to buy it back, and so I kind of vowed after I bought it back, I'd never, at 61, my goal isn't to retire. It's to kind of plan for the future and have. I get excited about the young. I hate the word young, but people getting involved in our company that want to keep being involved. And it's a very COVID really changed and reshaped it, a lot of companies, and it did ours as well. And I think now we're hopefully in the next 12, 24, 36 months, we'll keep developing a plan to grow. I mean, these gas prices and some of the supply chain things are going to be a real challenge for the next 12 to 24 months, and seeing what's happening. But I'm really excited about where we are as a family business and where we are. And I think the nice thing right now, I think we're up over 900 employees, and we have every individual location's its own LLC, and in a way its own little family. Like the general managers, they take and work their part of their business and maximize what's happening in their own locations, whether it's Bobby Labby in Camden, or Dale in South Portland, or Seth in Topsom, and Charlie in Treasure Island. They end up building their own little family within that location, and it's amazing the things that happen within those relationships. And the support they give each other. That doesn't mean you don't have problems, you don't have issues, and you don't have speed bumps. But we were really, really fortunate. We opened up a new location in Kennebunk called Live Cafe, and we've got the Coffin family that have gotten involved in it recently, and they're into health and wellness, and that's kind of we coined the complex, the Live Wellness Complex, and it's at 169 Port Road, and it's kind of a new venture. We're going to do some coffees, we're going to do some other things, and we're going to brew some different beers in small batches there. But I get excited about working with young people that have a passion for what they do, and we did the Pik Vodka with Sean Corbett, a guy out of Bangor, and Mainer, and he's just very passionate about the Pik, and we're distilling it in New Hampshire as well as Florida, and we want to distill it locally around the country. And so you react and try to take advantage of opportunities, and we've been very fortunate.
And you obviously trust the people that you choose to run things for you to make their own decisions, so you can grow as a business.
There's no way to do it otherwise, right? My mom did everything herself, and that kind of taught me I don't want to do that. she would do her own payroll. She would do her own hiring. She would do the schedule. She did it all. But she at the end of the day, she would save a dime and make a dollar type of thing. But she really never made a lot of money. But at the same time, it was sustained 5 kids.
Mm-hmm. So I've learned 2 things about your mom. Some of her lessons she meant for you to learn and and wanted them very directly. Here, do this. And others were quite by accident what you don't want to do.
Exactly.
Maybe as parents, we all give those lessons, both kinds of lessons.
Yeah.
Fred Forsley, latest guest on the Maine People podcast. Thanks, Fred. Appreciate the time very much, and absolutely love your beer.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, and I love the state of Maine, and I love what you're doing. Keep it going.
Thank you.
Cheers.
The Maine People podcast, available everywhere. Click subscribe so you never miss an episode.